Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at how mastering English can really give your career a boost.
Definitely a topic a lot of people are interested in.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
We found a podcast episode that's just full of advice and real-life stories, so we're going to break down all the best bits for you and see what we can learn.
Sounds good. I think one of the things that really struck me was how crucial English has become in the tech world.
Oh yeah. In what way?
Well, it goes beyond just, talking to your coworkers. Think about it, most coding languages are English-based.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of it like that.
Yeah, it impacts everything. How global teams can work on projects together, the development of open source software. English is like this common thread.
It lets everyone, no matter where they're from, understand each other's code.
Exactly. Share their ideas, build incredible things.
So for anyone in tech, strong English isn't just about chatting with colleagues.
No, it's about getting the foundation of the work itself.
That makes sense.
And this applies to other fields too, like international business negotiations. Of course, you can have translators, but
But something gets lost.
yeah, all those subtle things, the nuances, it's harder to build trust when you're not speaking directly.
And so much of communication is nonverbal too, right? Like being able to pick up on those cues.
Oh, absolutely. Can make or break a deal sometimes. And then there's research.
Oh, right.
Leading edge stuff, medicine, engineering, so much of it's published in English first.
So if you're not comfortable with the language,
You're missing out on a ton of knowledge. Could be really holding you back.
it's like a whole library of insights is locked away. Okay, so we've established that English is important, but what does this actually look like in people's careers?
Yeah, how does it actually play out?
The podcast we listened to had some really inspiring success stories that I think will get you motivated.
Oh yeah, those were great. Really brought it home.
The first one is about a guy named Carlos from Brazil. He was super talented in tech, a real whiz, but his English wasn't quite there.
He knew he had to improve, especially the technical vocabulary, if he wanted to land his dream job.
At this global tech company.
Yeah, that was his goal.
And he was really smart about it. He didn't just try to learn everyday English.
He was very strategic, focused on the specific language of his field.
Spent hours reading technical documents, watching coding tutorials.
Even participating in online forums, all in English.
Wow, that's dedication.
He knew that just being fluent wasn't enough. You have to be able to communicate in the language of your profession.
And what was the outcome for Carlos?
Well, he got the job. And not only that, he ended up with a higher salary than he expected.
No way.
Yep. And within a few years, he even got promoted to a leadership position.
That's amazing. Really shows that focused effort pays off.
Totally. Now, there's another story about Amina. She was a nurse in Egypt, and like Carlos, she kind of hit a ceiling in her career.
Even though she was passionate about her work.
She felt like she was missing out,
Yeah.
Like she couldn't keep up with all the latest advancements because...
Because they were all in English.
Exactly. Think about medical research. The groundbreaking stuff comes out in English first.
So if you're not reading those journals, attending those conferences.
You're limiting yourself no matter how good you are at your job.
So Amina decided to do something about it.
Started studying English specifically for healthcare professionals.
All the medical terms, the research papers.
She really tailored her learning to what she needed.
And her English got so good that she was able to go to international conferences.
Which are amazing for networking, by the way. Meeting other professionals.
Learning about the latest breakthroughs.
Huge opportunities for career growth.
And that's exactly what happened for Amina. She met this top doctor from the U.S.
who was so impressed with her knowledge, her communication skills.
And he offered her a job at a prestigious hospital in America.
Just shows you investing in English can open doors you never even imagined.
Totally. And it wasn't just about the job offer itself. It was about the chance to work in a cutting-edge environment.
Contribute to groundbreaking research. Learn from the best.
Completely changed her career path. It's amazing.
And both Carlos and Amina's stories highlight something really important.
What's that?
Confidence. It's almost like a superpower.
Okay. I like where this is going. Tell me more.
The better your English gets, the more confident you feel. Communicating effectively in any situation.
And that confidence spills over into everything else.
Yes. You're more likely to speak up in meetings, share ideas.
Take on those challenging projects. Ask for that promotion.
Exactly. And you know what? Confidence is contagious. People notice it. It opens doors that would have stayed closed if you let fear hold you back.
Okay, so we've seen how powerful English can be through these stories. But let's get down to brass tacks.
Yeah, let's talk specifics.
What are some of the actual career benefits that English can give you? The podcast went beyond these general stories and really got into the details.
It's all about those tangible benefits, what motivates us to learn.
For sure. And they started with something we all deal with, professional emails.
Ah, yes. In today's world, being able to write clear, concise emails in English is essential.
Your written communication represents you, even when you're not there in person.
A well-written email can make a fantastic first impression, build trust, close deals.
And it's not just about grammar.
No, it's about understanding those cultural differences, too.
Oh, right. What might seem polite in one culture
Could be totally inappropriate in another.
They gave a great example of Sarah, a marketing manager who used to hate writing emails in English. She was so worried about making mistakes.
Understandable.
She was afraid of not sounding professional enough, but she knew it was holding her back.
So she took action.
Took an online course on business writing in English, focusing on things like tone and style.
And she started reading other emails in her field, paying attention to how they were structured.
She even asked a colleague who's a native speaker to look over her emails, give her some feedback.
Always a good idea. Having a mentor or someone to guide you can really help.
And all her effort paid off. Her emails got much clearer, more impactful.
And people noticed. Her colleagues started complimenting her writing.
Clients responded more positively to her messages.
Amazing how small changes in communication can have such a big impact.
And then her manager noticed too.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
She got promoted to a senior marketing role with more responsibility and, of course, a higher salary.
See, investing in English is investing in yourself.
Totally. Okay, so emails are one thing, but what about meetings?
Ah, yes. Especially those big meetings with a global team. English is often the default language.
Which can be intimidating if you're not fluent.
It's not even just about speaking fluently, though. It's about being able to really listen.
Follow complex arguments.
Yes, and contribute your own ideas clearly and concisely, even when you're under pressure.
So what did the podcast recommend for that?
Well, they shared the story about John, a project manager who is fantastic at his job, but he really struggled in those English language meetings.
I can imagine.
He'd get nervous, stumble over his words, worry about being misunderstood. It happens.
What did he do to improve?
Well, he started by focusing on his listening skills. Listen to podcasts in English, watch documentaries.
On topics that interested him.
Right. Made it more enjoyable. And then, as his comprehension got better, he started listening to more complex stuff.
So he gradually increased the difficulty.
Exactly. And then he joined this online conversation group, where he could practice talking to other English learners.
A safe space to make mistakes without feeling judged.
Exactly. And you know what? It all worked. He became so much more comfortable in meetings.
His contributions were more insightful, and people really started to see him as a valuable member of the team.
And guess what? His boss recognized his progress.
Another promotion.
Yep, got promoted to senior project manager,
Right.
leading international teams, working with clients all over the world.
That's awesome. It shows that English can open doors to those leadership roles.
If you can communicate effectively across cultures, you're in high demand.
All right, one last big one before we move on. Presentations.
Oh, yes. Presentations. This is where your English skills can really make or break you.
Especially when you're presenting to important clients or senior management.
You're not just giving information, you're telling a story. You're trying to persuade people.
And doing that well in a second language.
It takes a lot of skill.
The podcast had this story about Emily, who worked in finance. She was great with numbers, but presentations, not so much.
She knew her stuff, but her English wasn't polished enough.
And she wanted to change that.
Yeah.
She knew improving her presentations in English was crucial for her career.
Smart lady.
So she signed up for a public speaking course specifically for people whose first language isn't English.
That's a great idea. They teach you how to structure presentations, use visuals well, keep the audience engaged.
All while working on your English pronunciation and fluency.
2 birds with 1 stone. And she didn't stop there.
Oh, what else did she do?
Started watching TED Talks online, other presentations, paying attention to how those speakers use their voices, body language.
It's like studying the masters.
Exactly. You pick up so much from just observing what they do well.
She even started recording herself practicing.
I do that too. It's so helpful.
To hear yourself and catch those little things you might not notice otherwise.
Exactly. And you know what? All that work paid off. She ended up giving this fantastic presentation to a group of international investors.
Yeah.
She landed a major deal for her company. Her boss was so impressed, he promoted her to a leadership role. Now she oversees international projects and gives presentations to high-profile clients.
Talk about a career transformation.
See? English skills combined with hard work, dedication. Those are the ingredients for success.
And Emily's story shows another benefit of mastering English.
What's that?
A bigger salary.
Oh yeah, studies have shown that people fluent in English tend to earn more.
Even in their own countries.
Yep, because companies operating globally, they value those skills. Being able to communicate with clients, lead international teams.
You're just more valuable to them. The podcast even talked about this guy, David, who was doing okay in his local company, but he saw that those who spoke English were getting the better positions and the bigger paychecks.
Makes sense.
So he buckled down, improved his English,
Ah.
got promoted to regional manager.
There you go. English isn't just a language, it's a strategic career move.
It really is. Now, the podcast didn't shy away from the challenges either.
Oh yeah, learning English can be tough, especially when you're busy with work, life, everything else going on.
Absolutely.
But don't worry, we'll dive into those challenges and some practical tips for overcoming them in the next part of our deep dive. It's true, it can be a bit daunting learning a new language, but everyone starts somewhere, right?
That's a good point.
And the journey itself can be so rewarding.
In what way?
Well, think about it. When you become more proficient in English, you're not just gaining a skill, you're opening up a whole world of new experiences.
Like what?
Travel. You can go to English-speaking countries and actually, talk to people, connect with different cultures.
Right. No more relying on phrase books and hoping for the best.
Exactly. And even things like art, literature, entertainment, you can experience them in a whole new way.
It's like you're seeing the world through a new lens.
Exactly. You're not limited by language anymore. You can understand the humor, the subtleties, things you might have missed before.
I love that. It's a journey of self-discovery as much as it is professional development.
Absolutely. And that personal growth can actually help your career, too.
How so?
Well, if you're more open-minded, culturally aware, adaptable, those are all qualities that employers look for.
That's true. Makes you a more well-rounded candidate.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's go back to those challenges for a minute. The podcast didn't sugarcoat it. They talked about some real hurdles that people face.
Oh, yeah. It's not always easy.
What was the first one they mentioned?
Fear. Fear of making mistakes.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that.
Especially in a professional setting, right? It can be so intimidating to speak up when you're not 100% confident.
You're worried about being judged, not taken seriously.
Or making a mistake that could actually hurt your career.
It's that feeling of vulnerability, like everyone's watching you, waiting for you to mess up.
Exactly. And that fear can be paralyzing. It can stop you from speaking up in meetings, participating in discussions.
Even just having casual conversations with colleagues.
Right. And it's such a shame because everyone makes mistakes.
Even native speakers.
All the time. It's part of being human.
But how do you get over that fear, especially when the stakes are so high at work?
I think it's about changing your perspective. Instead of seeing mistakes as failures, see them as opportunities.
Opportunities for growth.
Exactly. You mess up, you acknowledge it, you learn from it, and you move on.
Easier said than done sometimes.
I know, but trust me, most people are more understanding than you think. They're not judging you for making a mistake. They're impressed that you're making the effort.
That's reassuring.
And honestly, the more you practice speaking English, even if it's just with other learners, the less scary it becomes.
You get more comfortable, more confident.
Exactly. Practice really does make perfect out. Okay, fear is one thing, but there's also the whole issue of remembering new words.
Oh, tell me about it. I study and study, and then I forget everything the next day. It's so frustrating.
Vocabulary retention, it's a common challenge.
What's the secret? How do you actually make those words stick?
Well, the key is to go beyond just memorizing lists. Our brains learn best through context, through association.
So instead of just memorizing a definition,
Try to use the word in a real sentence. Relate it to something specific in your life.
like I'm trying to be more proactive in my communication with clients.
Perfect. Or, my manager praised me for taking a proactive approach to the project.
Ah, I see. You're making those connections in your brain.
Exactly. And you can make vocabulary learning more fun too. There are tons of apps and games out there.
Oh yeah, those are great.
And you can watch movies or TV shows in English with subtitles.
I love doing that. It doesn't even feel like studying.
Right. You're just enjoying the entertainment, but you're still picking up new words and phrases. Okay, so We've talked about fear and vocabulary, but then there's the challenge of actually understanding what people are saying.
Oh, yeah. Especially when they talk fast or have different accents. Listening comprehension is a big one.
It is. It is. Even if you know the words, if you can't keep up with the speed,
It's like they're speaking a different language altogether.
it can be really tough. Any tips from the podcast on how to improve that?
Well, they said the key is exposure.
Exposure.
Yeah, like listening to as much English as possible. Podcasts, movies, music, even just overhearing conversations.
Soaking it all in.
Exactly. And they said don't be afraid to use subtitles at first.
Oh, subtitles are a lifesaver, especially when you're starting out.
They help you connect the spoken word with the written word.
And then as you get better, you can start turning them off.
And they talked about something called active listening.
Oh, that's a good one. What is that exactly?
It's not just hearing the words, it's really engaging with what's being said. Paying attention to the tone of voice, the body language.
Context of the conversation.
Right. And asking questions, summarizing what you've heard.
Even trying to predict what the speaker might say next.
So you're really present in the moment, thinking about the meaning, not just the individual words.
Exactly. It takes effort, but it really helps with comprehension. Okay, so we've covered fear, vocabulary, listening. What else did the podcast mention?
Something that I think a lot of people struggle with, finding the time to practice.
Oh, yeah. Life gets busy. Everyone's juggling work, family, other commitments.
It feels impossible to add one more thing to the plate.
It does, but I think the key here is to be smart about it.
How do you mean?
Instead of trying to find huge chunks of time to study, look for those little pockets throughout your day.
Like listening to a podcast during your commute.
Exactly. Or watching a short English video while you eat lunch.
Or reading a few pages of a book before bed.
Perfect. Even 5 or 10 minutes here and there can add up.
And they emphasize the importance of being consistent.
Even small efforts, done regularly, are better than sporadic bursts of intense study.
It's about making it a habit.
Like brushing your teeth. You don't think about it, you just do it. And the results will come over time. They also mentioned finding a community.
Oh, yeah, a support system. That makes sense. It can feel really lonely learning a language on your own.
It can. Having people to practice with, motivate you, share tips.
Celebrate your successes with you.
Exactly. And there are so many ways to find that community. Online courses, conversation groups, even just connecting with other learners on social media.
They said it's great to practice with native speakers if you can, but
it's not essential.
the most important thing is to find people you're comfortable with.
Who encourage you and make the process fun. They even suggested finding a language partner.
A language partner.
Yeah, someone who's learning your native language. You can teach each other, practice together.
Well, that's a cool idea.
It is. You get to help someone else while improving your own skills. But beyond all these practical tips, they talked about something really important.
What's that?
Mindset. Your attitude can make all the difference.
How so?
Well, first of all, you have to believe you can do it, that you're capable of learning English even if it takes time.
It's like that little voice in your head has to be your cheerleader.
Exactly. And you have to be patient. Don't expect to become fluent overnight.
It's a journey, not a race.
There will be good days and bad days.
Times when you feel stuck.
But it's about focusing on the progress you've made, celebrating the small wins.
And remembering why you started in the first place.
Oh, that's so important. Having a clear why.
What are your goals? What do you want to achieve with your English skills?
If you keep that in mind, it's much easier to stay motivated when things get tough.
Like if your goal is to get a promotion?
You can imagine yourself leading that meeting in English, giving that presentation.
It helps you stay focused.
Exactly. It's your roadmap to success. And remember, your why can change over time, too. As you learn English, you might discover new goals, new passions.
The possibilities.
Exactly. It's not just about reaching a destination. It's about opening yourself up to a world of opportunities.
So learning English isn't just about getting a better job. It's about
expanding your horizons.
becoming a more well-rounded person.
Exactly. And the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, the strategies, the importance of mindset, but the podcast also had some really specific tips for professionals who are looking to use English for their careers.
They did. They got really tactical. Ready to dive into those?
Absolutely. Let's hear them. Okay, tactical tips. Let's do it. What stood out to you?
Well, they talked about reading, but specifically job-related stuff. Articles, blogs, industry reports.
So if you're in marketing, read marketing materials. Finance, read finance material.
Exactly. It's a great way to pick up the vocabulary specific to your field.
So learn the style of writing, right?
Yeah, the tone, the way professionals communicate in that industry, really helpful for when you have to write your own emails or reports.
They even suggested highlighting words you don't know, looking them up, and then trying to use them yourself.
Oh, that's a good one. Active learning makes it stick better.
Another tip was to practice for those nerve-wracking situations, like job interviews.
Oh, yeah, interviews.
Oh, yes.
Way stressful.
The podcast host said, find common interview questions online and actually practice your answers out loud.
In English, of course.
Right. It might feel silly at first, but
And it makes a huge difference. When you're actually in the interview, you'll feel so much more prepared.
they also said you can ask a friend to be the interviewer, give you feedback,
That's a good idea. Or if you don't have anyone to practice with, record yourself.
and then listen back.
Yep. You can hear how you sound, see where you need to improve. Okay, what else?
They talked about watching videos in English.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorites. So much great content out there.
TED Talks, documentaries, webinars. You can even find videos about your hobbies.
It's a fun way to learn, you know? You're not even really studying, you're just enjoying the video.
But you're absorbing the language,
Yeah.
picking up new vocabulary.
Exactly. And you can use subtitles strategically. Start with them on, then as you get better, turn them off.
Like training wheels.
Exactly. And just like with reading, try to engage actively with the video. Take notes, write down new words.
Really think about what you're watching. Okay, so we've got reading, interview practice, videos. Anything else?
Well, they talked about something we've mentioned before, but it's really important. Consistency.
Yes. Doing a little bit each day is better than cramming every once in a while.
It's about building those habits, making English a part of your daily routine.
Like exercise or meditation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even 15 minutes a day can make a huge difference over time.
They also said to make it fun.
Oh, yeah, learning should be enjoyable.
Set small goals, track your progress, celebrate those little victories.
It keeps you motivated. And don't forget about creating an immersive environment.
Immersive.
Yeah, surround yourself with English as much as possible. Change your phone settings. Listen to English music.
Follow English-speaking accounts on social media.
Exactly. Make it so you're encountering English all the time.
The podcast also talked about something called the compounding effect of learning English.
Oh, that's interesting. What is that?
It's the idea that those small, consistent efforts we talked about, they add up over time, and the results just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Like compound interest.
Exactly. So the more you learn, the easier it becomes to learn even more.
Makes sense.
Your vocabulary grows, your grammar improves, your confidence soars.
And you just keep getting better and better.
It's like a snowball effect. It's really motivating. Every little thing you do contributes to that growth.
It all adds up. This has been such an insightful deep dive.
I know, right? We've talked about so much. The importance of English, the challenges, the strategies, the mindset, even the power of storytelling.
Oh, those personal stories were so inspiring.
They really brought it all to life, showed us that it's possible to achieve your dreams with English.
It's not just theory, it's real people making real changes in their lives.
And reminded us that it's a journey, you know? There will be ups and downs.
But if you're determined and you keep working at it,
The rewards are incredible. So, dear listener, we hope this has inspired you to start your own English learning adventure.
don't be afraid to take that first step.
Remember, it's never too late to learn. And the benefits, both for your career and for your personal growth, are immeasurable.
Absolutely. English is a powerful tool. It can open so many doors.
We want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive,
We hope you learned something new.
and maybe even feel a little bit more motivated to take your English to the next level.
Keep practicing, keep exploring.
And remember, the world is waiting for you.